So we'll get that started.
Because I'd love to be able to hear it again, because it's not going to sink in all of it by a long shot.
I agree.
Right. So I'll have it posted and I'll send it out. Send out the link to David and Lisa, and they can share it out.
Okay.
Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. This is the Family History Guide's webpage, and it's thefhguide.com. Okay. The purpose of the Family History Guide is to, increase the number of people who are actively involved in family history, and to make everyone's family history easier, more efficient, and more enjoyable. So we've developed this website to help train people to use the various different resources that are out there, to give you ideas on how to do your research, give you hints, link to other websites that have great information on them. And just try to help you get started. We start from the very early beginners all the way up to people who are more advanced. So there's lessons that everybody can use. We also have a program that we've just started this year called the Volunteer Instructor Program, where we're working with genealogy societies, family history centers, genealogy libraries to help people get trained to use this website to help their community and their societies. So, we want people to become a resource for the societies to learn how to use this website so they can then teach from it. So I want to give you we're going to do a live walkthrough on the page. If there's any questions that anybody has while we're doing this, feel free to, chime in, interrupt me and ask a question, and we'll go with that. When you start out, I'll get to all of this stuff up top with the menus in just a little bit, but when you come in, you can select your language. So you can see that the website is in a lot of different languages. So this is meant to be a worldwide website, and you can pick whichever language you want in this list. And then the whole page, the whole website is translated to that language.
Oh, that's great.
You also see at the beginning, we have today's tips. And so today's tips is talking about getting started with GEDmatch. And so every day we have a new tip that gives you an idea of how you can, increase your genealogy, your skills, and give you new resources. And then click on that. We have the magnifying glass here, and this is our search area. And so you can type in a search term. And I'll get into more detail about that in just a little bit. As you go down, we have these 3 buttons here. And for anybody who's brand new to the Family History Guide, this is where you want to start. So the first one is an overview. And when you click on the overview, you come to a YouTube video. And I want to turn off the volume here.
Did you know
but it goes through and gives you a 2-minute overview of what's on the web page. So it gives you a little walkthrough to show you what sort of things are available for you to use. And then we have our tour, and the tour is just a little pop-up window that comes up, and it gives you some ideas of where you might want to start. So it gives you some some topics, and then some subtopics under that you might want to start with. And then we have the get started. And when this loads up, this is sort of a question. How do I? So that's the first thing people have is, how do I, when they get into genealogy? How do I research, or how do I use the Family History Guide? How do I, learn how to use a computer and genealogy basics? How do I explore photos and documents, and so on? And if you look down, we have research skills, and then we have research around the world. And so it's, how do I do England research, Ireland, Sweden, Germany, whatever it might be. And when you click on these, you get some more questions. So how do I get started with my research in Germany? And you click on that, and now it brings you right to how to get started with your research in Germany. So it's a very simple stepwise process to introduce you to the genealogy concepts that we have. As I mentioned, the goal is to make genealogy easier, more efficient, and more enjoyable. So there's a few things under each of these topics, easy ways to get started. A lot of people get in here and they're like, oh, genealogy, this is intense. It's so difficult. I don't know what to do. Well, you can look at this easy ways to get started. And, it goes back into that how do I sort of lesson. But there's also ways to get started very quickly, in 10, 15 minutes. So I'll show you those also as we get through. We can go how to help, how to get help for beginners. And when you pop up that, so if you're brand new, this is computer basics. This actually tells you how to start with a computer. What are the parts of your computer?
That's my problem.
Yeah. And then you have the family history guide, overview videos, and then get started. So you can, we link out to a lot of other resources. So like familyeducation.com has a why genealogy site, or, why genealogy is important and why I love genealogy. And, so we link out to a lot of these. We don't want to recreate the sources that are out there. If people have really good topics, we can link to those and help you learn more and expose you to more sites that are available. Anytime you want to go back to the homepage, you just click the family search, the family history icon at the top. Okay. So under the intro, they have getting started, and then they have 15 minutes. It's like, what can you do in 15 minutes for genealogy? Well, if I click on this, here are some ideas of what, how you can fit genealogy into your busy schedule. So, I have a lot of apps on my phone. So if I'm driving my wife to the doctor's appointment, what am I going to do while I'm sitting there in the waiting room or in the parking lot now, while she's in with the doctor? Well, I go on and I open up one of my genealogy apps like Family Search or Ancestry, and I just start doing some research on that. So those are things that are easy to do. Fitting family history into your life. So there's a schedule to fit family history into your life. If you open this, you get this little document. These are things you can do in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour or 2 hours. And you can look through these and say, okay, I have 10 minutes. What can I do? Well, I can go on to Family Search and I can see if it has any tasks for me. It has some hints. Well, why don't I just do 1 or 2 of those hints? I have 10 minutes. I can do those pretty quickly. Or, maybe I have 20 minutes. And so, with my 20 minutes, maybe I'm going to upload a memory to Family Search. I'm going to find the person that's in Family Search and I'm going to upload a photograph or a document to that. That's something I can do. It's much more productive than going on Facebook and watching cat videos or something like that. You can see the beginner's path, computer basics, the learning system, and all of these are, basic ideas to get you started. These are the introductory sort of things. Okay. If we look at the Family History Guide Partners page, you can see that it has stuff on Family Search, Ancestry, MyHeritage, Find My Past, American Ancestors, GeneaNet, FiliaNet, and you can go in and the letters will tell you what this is. So if I go to Find My Past Overview, it goes to a document. It says I need access for that. We might have to fix that, Bob. So we have some documents that are behind our wall, and there are documents that are behind other people's walls. So we just have to check those. Anytime you find a link that doesn't work, just go to the contact us site, page, and let us know that you found something that doesn't work, and we'll get that fixed pretty quickly. So we're going to go over to here, and this is what you were all talking about originally. I need to learn more about Family Search. Okay, how to use Family Search. And if you haven't used Family Search, it's totally free. Everything there is free. All of the microfilms that you used to be able to access, from the family history centers, those have all been digitized now. So you can find those all in digital format, plus thousands and thousands of more images every day are being added, because we have 300 teams, or Family Search has 300 teams around the world recording more records. So they're adding new records all the time. So, it's a great resource. Well, you can go in here and say, I want to learn how to use the family tree. And it starts up. Notice up here, we have these goals. So the first goal is navigating the family tree on Family Search. And if you look, this is signing in and navigating. So it teaches you how to, make your username and your password, sign into Family Search and move around the tree. So, stepwise, this is where you're going to go to create your account. then once you're in it, if you need to retrieve your forgotten password, because many people forget their passwords, there's a little link here so you can figure out how to retrieve your passwords. It goes through and talks about how to view the tree, different resources. So these are all little handouts, resources here. You'll see, I'm looking, see there's video resources also that are available. The Family History Guide produces a lot of video resources that are very short, 2 to 5 minute videos to give you a little head start on some of your work that you're doing. The privacy rules for family search. You can see BYU has a video on privacy concerns in genealogy. It's a 68-minute video. Okay. So you can see how long the videos are before you get started watching them. So you know that you have enough time in order to do that. And then down at the bottom, we have exercises, and it lets you know, how well do I think I remember what was going on here. I want to show you up at the top, we have a quiz. So once you've gone through and done this lesson, you can come back up to the top and you can take the quiz. And it's going to ask you a couple questions, and you can take the quiz and says, if you do not have a family search account, what are you going to do? And so, you're going to read goal 1 and choice A for the instructions and submit. I got that right. And you go to the next one. And let's just say, let's see, protect your privacy of living people by restricting who can see them. Well, I know that's true, but I'm going to hit false. Oh, see, I got the wrong answer. And when you get finished with it, it gives you a score. So what's your score out of 50, the questions that you have. And so it helps you, track your learning. You can see here.
Miles?
Yes.
Oh, just a quick thought. Those links are fixed now. It turns out that Family Search reversed their URLs. They do that from time to time and it breaks things. But that page has the correct links now.
Okay. See how quickly they fix that? And that's the thing, we're linking out to other websites. So we can't control what they do. And Family Search does modify their links quite often. But families or Ancestry, MyHeritage, and the other ones do the same thing. And so if you ever find one, let us know. We'll fix it. Like this one here, children and spouses. So this shows you, how to view children of families in Family Search, how to explore their individual pages, the person's pages for each one, view other spouses. So, maybe somebody got married multiple times and these children are listed under all those spouses. So it walks you through, how to view and add children and spouses to your records. Alternate views, changing info, adding ancestors, adding sources, record hints. So you see all of these different categories here. Okay. Now that's just the family tree. If I go to the memories section, I get another set of goals, walking me through different parts of the memories. And this is where you add your photographs and your documents as sources. And you can see how to prepare your uploads, how to add and tag the photos and documents. And the purpose of that is you can tag, if you have multiple people in the photograph, you can tag each one and link them to their own records on Family Search. So if you have a whole family there, no matter who you go to in that family, if you've tagged them, they will have that photograph linked to their record, or that document linked to their record. Or how to add stories. The stories are where you can type in stories about your recollections of these people, or stories that you've heard in the past, or writing a life sketch, the timeline and the life sketch of the person. You can even add audio files in Family Search. So you can do a 5-minute audio clip. If you interviewed somebody and you have a short little audio clip, you can upload that so other people can listen to that story. Okay. You go down a little further and you get into descendants, and you can see that there's identifying lines, sourcing tools, Pazilla, and Relative Finder. These are apps that link into Family Search. So these are other websites that you can use. Relative Finder, we use that for the genealogy conferences. And I know David and Lisa are familiar with it, I believe, where, if you went to one of our genealogy conferences, you can put your name in here and you can see who in the conference you're related to. And it'll tell you if you're related, your second cousin's 3 times removed or whatever it might be. And it'll show you the tree and how you're related to that person. So a lot of stuff in here, indexing, help, technology, apps, DNA. The same thing with Ancestry. They all start out with getting started. Okay, every one of these has a getting started page. And this is where you learn the basics, setting up your account and adding your first bits of information. But then you got your family tree, your docs and storage, your research, knowledge base, help, technology, DNA, MyHeritage, same thing, your account, docs and researches, and then find my past. Okay, so you're learning specifically how to use the different components of each of those web pages that you might be interested in. Now, just to give you a little hint, most of you have heard about Ancestry and probably have an account on Ancestry. MyHeritage, they have a focus in on Central Europe and Eastern Europe generally, but they're out of Israel. And Find My Past, their focus is on the British Isles and the colonies. The benefit here is Find My Past has the U.S. Catholic records in it. So if your family is a member of a Catholic church in the United States, you don't have to go access that church anymore. You can go right to Find My Past if you have a subscription there. And so I'm finding my small town Catholic records for the Cincinnati, Ohio diocese. I'm going in there and I'm looking at the marriage records, the birth records, the funeral records, everything that those people did in that church is recorded in those records. So it's a great secondary resource for information. So, you can just follow through each of these lessons and learn how to use these different websites. Okay. So before I go on, does anybody have any question about, the introduction, the basics and beginner stuff, or, the Family Search, Ancestry, MyHeritage, or Find My Past sort of lessons that we have there?
Going to take hours just to read all the stuff that you've gone through so far.
Yes, yes.
You're right, but it's worth
Oh,
going
yeah.
through, because I find by doing, I've recently taken a few family history library courses. One was on adding sources, and you see the person walk you through it, but I really end up having to do it myself to better understand and remember.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And the
Definitely.
benefit here is, you can go right to that lesson. If you want to learn how to do it again, you go right back to that lesson on the Family History Guide, and you walk through the steps and you just make sure that, you understood it. The other thing is we have a tracker over here. And in that tracker, there's an online tracker system here. And you can do it for groups also, for the Genealogy Society if you wanted to. I'm going to log in. And you can see all of the lessons that we just went through for Family Search, Ancestry, MyHeritage, Find My Past, the computer basics. And I can go, okay, I just went through and I did the family tree. So I'm going to click on that. And now I can say, how did I do? Did I pass the quiz? Yes. Do I have any notes? Don't forget your password. That's a good note to put in there, right?
Yeah.
And you can see when you last visited that page if you track it. And so, you can put in all sorts of little notes in here that help you remember things that you need to go back through and look at again as you go through those pages.
Hey, Miles,
Yes.
can you show them how to work the slider bars?
Yeah. So, you can, if I go back to 0, you see it says not started. If I go to 1, I started it. 2 is good. I at least know what I'm doing. I'm dangerous. And then 3 is I'm proficient. I think I know what I'm doing. And so, you can sit here and list yourself, and you can go back later and say, what was that thing I needed to go back through on Family Tree? I put my note in here, need to review this again, okay. Now I know that next time I go back, I go back and say, oh yeah, I need to review that again. I need to figure out what I was doing. Like I said, you can do it with a group. So you can have your little work groups in the Genealogy Society, and you can set up, little lesson plans with them and see how everybody's doing. Have they done their homework, sort of thing, and are they tracking it? And you get reports and resource stars and all sorts of things of that sort in there. I'm going to skip over the trainers. That's the last thing I'm going to get to, because that's the part of the thing about how you can use the Family History Guide in your society or your community as a training tool. But we're going to go to activities next. And so a lot of times when you're looking for something, let's do something fun with family history. And so let's do something fun with our family. The grandkids are visiting, and you want to teach them, it's like, have you ever tried to tell them a story about your ancestors and see them like sort of glaze over and they're like, yeah, okay, but here we've got family activities and things that can be fun for the little kids, things like the family history fun basket, where you put little tasks in the basket, and that might be like, ask grandma a question about so and so, or find something in the house that belonged to grandpa, and they do a little scavenger hunt, or they ask questions, recording and sharing, or here's a good one, using Google Maps and Google Earth. The kids love technology, so can you use Google Earth and Google Maps as a way to teach them family history? Can you zoom in on your hometown and do a street view of the address where their grandparents lived or their great grandparents lived, and see if the house is still there? Or maybe they went to a school, and you can zoom in into that school and show them where they went to school, or where the cemetery is located, or something like that. They have charades. Family Search has these little fun things, like ancestor lookalike and photo collages and compare a face. So this is a little activity here that has a video associated with it, shows you how to use those and get your kids to, have fun with this. Like who is my closest resemblance in my ancestors? It looks at the photographs that people have uploaded to Family Search to see if you're, 50% closely related to, or closely matching your grandparents on this side or that side. Recreate a childhood photo. Ancestor stories, have the kids reenact ancestor stories. So there's all sorts of things. Jeopardy game for genealogy. So lots and lots of different activities here, and you have more activities that you can get into. And these activities are all age-based. So you have family, individual, youth, kids, homeschooling. So there's activities here that can help you homeschool and teach lessons. There's also a planning sheet here, and I'm going to see if the planning sheet will pull up. It lists all of our activities, and so you can download this planning sheet, and you can click on these activities and go right to the activities. You can put the date that you did it and any notes that you had here, and notes for next time, and a rating for it. Was this something that the kids really enjoyed, or the family really enjoyed? You can do this as a family reunion. And if everybody really enjoyed it, you give it a 5, and you talk about some of the things that happened during the family reunion that everybody enjoyed with it. So you can see there's a variety of different activities down here that you can play with.
Hey, Miles,
Yes.
just a quick thought. Using these activities can greatly expand the reach of a genealogy society. For instance, young families who may think that they don't have time for family history or genealogy, they discover some of these fun activities to do, and then suddenly the light bulb goes on, and oh yes, this could be a good thing to connect with our ancestors and to teach our kids about them, and so they carry on those memories.
Yeah. So yeah, this gives you the ability to work outside of the regular research capacity that people think, oh, I'll do that when I retire, when I have time, when I can go to the libraries, and genealogy is changing so much today. There's so many different ways to do genealogy today that are not that typical. Need to go to the National Archives and sit in the basement for a couple of days and look at musty books. So there's some ways that you can bring in new people into your society, bring in young blood, bring in enthusiasm, bring in excitement that people might not have in societies in some locations. There's also a youth program here. So you can use this to help encourage projects for the young people in your community. So you can see there's photos and stories, activities, family tree, places of culture, indexing, apps. And then we have our media, our blog, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. You can go in here and visit our YouTube site, for example, our YouTube page, and you'll see hundreds of videos that we've produced here on different topics. We have these very short little videos on these show me things. Each of these videos, so this is like Family Search Project 2 Goal 4. Now, remember I showed you the Family Search site and we pulled down a project and we looked at the goals. So these are videos walk you through those. So you don't have to read them. You know, you can watch these videos to start with, and then you can go back to that program, that project, and then watch it from there or read it from there. You know, here's some of the Kids Corner activities showing the kids, you know, being actively involved in these genealogy activities here. Inspirational videos, you know, various different uploads that we've done talking about how we, you know, at different conferences, we've produced videos to show people how to do research. We just recently did the VIP training. That's this one right here, which is working with different different societies to, you know, train their members in using this as a training tool. And you can go in there and you can watch that video. You know, it's a little over an hour long, but it's got some great information about how to use this website. So I'm going to close out of that. We also have the faiths page. And so if you're interested in like Catholic research, you can go right to the Catholic page. And then this gives you information about how to use Catholic genealogy research records. And, you know, you can see different Catholic types of Catholic records. We have Protestant records information. They start out with, you know, Protestant genealogy, Baptist research, Episcopal, Lutheran, Methodist, Presbyterian, Quakers, and other denominations. And so you can go in, you know, look at these and learn more about those different groups. The other thing is, I'm going to go back, well, you'll see this little lightning bolt here, and these are quick links. And so if I'm interested in the Quaker stuff, there's a Quaker meeting records. I can click on that and it sends me right to Ancestry's Quaker meeting records. And I can do searches right in those. So we try to add quick links in these resources so you can go right to the databases that are available. And again, you see these are all AC, so these are all Ancestry. But I want to move over to the countries pages. And this is where I tend to spend a lot of my time, because people come in and say, how do I do research in this country or that country? And, you know, I've learned a lot about doing Italian research because I've worked with a lot of people on Italian research. I've learned with German research because I'm doing a lot of German research, but I don't know much about Scandinavian research. So I'm going to click on that. And now I'm looking for something in Finland. So it's the person I'm working with has ancestors from Finland. So how do I do research there in Finland? Well, you see, we have research techniques, archives and libraries, census records, church and cemetery records, immigration, maps, newspapers, websites, searching records, getting help, other records, and geo and culture and history. Okay, great. Well, I'm interested in learning more about Finland's census records. So I'm going to click on the census records section. And now I have this stepwise process of how to research Finland's census records. And of course, they send you to the Family Search Wiki. So you know, go to the Wiki webpage, learn there. There's some records here for Genealogy Inc. On census records for Finland. There's some provincial records here at another website. And then right here, if I click on the Finland marriage records, now all of a sudden I'm in Family Search in the Finland marriage records, and I search my records right there, you know, right in the collections that I'm looking for. You can see there's Ancestry and then finished tax lists and finished burial records. And there's more different things that you can go into, you know, when you're there. So the wiki for Family Search provides a lot of baseline information, and we try to link out to that information.
Not much on Ireland.
Oh, let's see, British Isles, Ireland.
Well, yeah. Oh, you do have Ireland.
There's Ireland right there.
Yep, been there.
Look at all,
Boy, do we ever have Ireland.
yeah, see all the there. Now, the other great thing is, let's say you want to teach a class about Irish research and you're doing something on civil registration. Okay. So now I'm in the civil registration group here. You can use this to sort of create your outline for your class and learn how to teach from from that information. If you go to print, this creates a printer-friendly version of the web page. So you see, we can create a PDF or a print version of the web page. And when you scroll through, you notice that things turn yellow. Okay. So let's say I really don't want to talk about this piece of it. I can just click on this piece and now it's gone. It's no longer in that list. And now I've got, I don't want to include this video. I'm just going to click on it and that video is now gone out of this list.
Okay.
So you can customize the list for your outline that you're working with. So that's a great resource, and it gives you the web page right at the top, thefamilyhistoryguide.com/project9 Ireland 03 HTML. And so people can use that and go right to the full page again and see all of the videos and all of the attachments that are there. We also have miscellaneous, a variety of different things over here. So what's new? If you want to see, I was here last week, but what's been new since last week? Well, you can see all of this stuff was added to the webpage in March. And this is what was added in February. So we're constantly adding new links and new resources to the website and growing the information that's available there. So I want to go over here to the trainers section. And again, we have certified trainers and we have volunteer instructors with the Family History Guide. The certified trainers go through, learn a lot more about the Family History Guide website, take a quiz, take a test and get certified. I'm a certified trainer. That's why I get to do these great, great videos for everybody for the Family History Guide. And, for some reason they thought I was good enough to be the education director. So I do this all over the country. But I'm a good resource here in Florida for everybody here.
Yeah.
If you go to the trainers section, we can go to the homepage here. And, this starts out, what would you like to do? I can prepare a class. I can look at our course catalog. I can see the worksheets that are out there, different resources. So if I want to prepare a class, I can click right there. And now this tells me, presenting the class, introduction, you can use the tour button, suggested class links, preparing online topics. We like people to use the Family History Guide as a live demonstration, just like I'm doing now, as opposed to creating slides. Because as you see, we add new things constantly. And so you're always going to go in and discover something new that you're like, oh, I want to talk about this. Or somebody you're presenting to, as we just had, somebody said, well, about Ireland. Okay, I'll show you Ireland. And if you have slides, you can't do that. So we like these things, these presentations to be open and live demonstrations. So, preparing an in-person topic class. And this is basically just showing you how to prepare, how to be a better instructor also, summarize, emphasize, personalize. That's one of the things that I'm really big on is when you're giving a presentation is personalizing the presentation. Tell stories. Don't just give the facts, that's not really exciting, but people want to hear the stories and want to hear how you relate to this. If we go to the course catalog, you can see that we've got a lot of different courses already set up, like Introduction to the Family History Guide. This is a 50 to 60 minute Family History Guide introduction topic. And so, you can go in and, you can go in and look at these and see what's available, beginning classes, goals of the class. It sort of lays out the information that's there. So if I go to, I can look at beginning, family search, ancestry, my heritage. I want to do something about my heritage. So here, if I want to teach a class on getting started with my heritage, it says the things you want to do are look at goal number 1, goal number 2, and goal number 3.
That's what they
And
said.
when I click on that, now I can see this is goal number 1, and I can, use this to start building my plan for my lesson. You can see general research, US research, international research, all of these different topics are available here. We can talk to you about audiences. You know, how do you do with groups, with families, with individuals, with beginners? And you can click on these and see, you know, what are the things that, what's that? Hey, Bob, when I click on beginners, it goes to families. So you'll have to fix that one. If I go to families, go to beginners, nope, it goes to families. So,
Okay, I'll get that fixed. Sorry about that.
so you can see here, it goes through an overview and it's setting it up, and so it talks you through the process of building these classes. This is why it's such a great tool, for the societies to use. And if you're working with your community, you can go in and look at a group session and learn how to set up a lesson for groups, and the delivery and the coaching and tracking and all sorts of great ideas here. Okay, so it's a great tool there. You also have the quizzes, so you can pull the quizzes right up on instantly. So you can do the overview quizzes and things. So you can pop these up while you're teaching and see if people are paying attention to your lessons. We have our certified trainers, and this has, you can find a certified trainer for your events. And if you look at Florida, there I am. And so it gives you the contact information. You can fill this out with your information, and I get a notification that you're interested in getting a training. So these are where all of our certified trainers are located. But you can tell there's not a whole lot of us, and that's why we're doing the volunteer training, because we want people to be available in your communities. We have worksheets that are already done. So you got English blank worksheets and sample worksheets. So I can go in and look at a sample worksheet, and this won't pull up correctly because it's in the wrong page. And I will go to share the sample. And let's see. So here, I've got the sample worksheet here, and it lays out. So I'm doing a lesson on using newspapers in research. So it talks to you about, using choice A of project goals, newspapers, choice A, step 3B, newspapers and research. And you can go in and find each of these to speak from. And we also have blank ones. So you can set up your own topics using the blank sheets. And I'm going to go back to sharing the website there. So, in various different languages. One of the things I want to show you in the trainers is, you have resources. Yeah, so that was it. Okay, yeah, the worksheets there. In the countries, I want to show you something with the United States. And we do this for the other countries too. You can see all the different topics up here. But now here, you can pick a state. And let's say we want to research in Florida. So I can go right to Florida. And now it gives me instructions on how to use Florida resources. Okay. And then at the bottom, you can go into counties. And so, if I want to do Martin County, if I click on the Martin County project here, this will send me right to the Family Search Wiki on how to research in Martin County. If I do the L, this sends me the Linkpendium and all the resources that they've accumulated concerning Martin County. If I go over to G, this sends me to Genealogy Inc. and the resources that they've grabbed up and linked to. And then U sends me to the Gen website. And so this looks like there's no A. That means that Ancestry doesn't have any pages for Martin County. So, and F, there's also the F, and that goes to the Facebook page for the county. So if there was a Martin County Genealogical Society, so for Indian River County, it goes to the Indian River Genealogical Society's Facebook group. If you guys want, if you have a Facebook group for your society, let us know and we'll add that link in there so people know about the Genealogy Society if they're doing research in Martin County. So a lot of great help here. help
That
you.
list is really nice.
Yeah. So a lot of great resources there for, to use. And the idea here is to explore it, to look for the topics. I'm going to go back to the start screen here. And remember, I said I was going to get to the search later. So give me a topic, any genealogy topic you want to give.
A tough one would be Florida Black history.
Okay, I'm going to start with Black history first and see what we have. So we
Okay.
have a goal on an African American. Let's see. I'm going to click on that one. And you see here, this is our goal for African American, getting started, learning the basics. You can see record sources, libraries, slavery resources, breaking through barriers, and getting help. So, we have several different goals and projects on this.
Hey, Miles,
Yes.
there's an additional resource at the bottom of each state page. For goal 1, there's an ethnic section. So if in Florida, if you go to goal 1 research on the Florida state page,
Yep.
near the bottom above counties, you'll find an ethnic section, and it has some resources for African American research
What
in
about-
Florida.
What other?
There it is, right there.
Oh,
So African American resources for Florida, Florida minorities, Florida African American records in AG. What is AG? Let's see. Access genealogy. So, so there you go. Yeah. So at the bottom of the page, you have your goals. And the ethnic resources right there. And then you have, Florida history. This is always a good one for if you're, wanting to figure out the history of the counties, the history of the state. So they have Wikipedia, Family Search, Info Please, and Family Searches Wikipedia, or additional topics on Wikipedia. So I guess this is different than the Florida history on Wikipedia. So.
Miles, I have a question for you. Is there anything on here about orphans or adoption records?
Yes. So if I go in orphans, let's see, orphans and illegitimacy, adoption, so there's a different variety of goals here.
Yeah, like my husband's father came on an orphan train,
Okay.
Minnesota, and we can't get any information on his birth records. We know his name, what his name was, but it's like, how do you get any information?
So right here, other US records. And so that just came up. I'm going to do there we go. So you can see this explore other US records here, orphanages, learn about orphanage records. So there's a link to orphanage records on Ancestry's wiki that it goes out to, or RootsWeb's wiki. And then there's another one on orphan train
Yeah.
information. So then it links you to the Orphan Trains Historic Heritage Society of America, the different states that have records, different places where you can mail, requests to.
Okay.
So yeah, any topic that you want to put into that search, we probably have several web pages, different goals and projects that you can get into that might, provide you the information you're looking for.
Okay.
So as you're doing your research with the Family History Guide, remember that you don't have to be the library. You just need to be a librarian.
Mhm.
You just need to know where to find the information instead of having to know everything.
Yeah, so a lot of times, I'll be doing my Sunday or Wednesday 1 hour family history sort of videos I open up the Zoom, and anybody who joins me and asks questions, I try to find answers for them. I spend a lot of my time on the family history guide because, where am I going to learn about Ukrainian research? Well, I'm going to go to countries, and I'm going to go to Eastern Europe, I believe. Let's see. And there I go to Ukraine. And now I can look at, archives and church records and military records and show a person, well, if you go through this, this is going to help you, learn about your research in Ukrainian records or whatever topic it could be. We have this vault over here, the main page of the vault. Let's see. Notice all of these different websites that we use as resources. So these give you the abbreviations. And so when you go down to one of these resources, you can find it. You have the basics, you have memories, present photos, interviews, stories, sources, maps, US maps. So we can just go right there. And now you have all sorts of different lessons to learn how to use US maps for your research. Different resources that are there available to help you out. England, I'm looking at Ireland. Okay, I'm just going to click Ireland here. And there's this whole series of resources out here to help you also. Now, the reason why these are the vault is because these are great resources. We just don't have a place to put them on the page yet. These are things where we're collecting all of these resources, or maybe we have something better that's on the page, but this is a great resource also. So, check the page for the country or the resource that you're looking for, and then go into the vault and see if there's some new other items there that you hadn't learned about before that are great resources also.
Miles?
Yes.
I have a thought to share with the group. So back in the old days, when I would sit hunched over a microfilm reader and be looking at census records, other kind of records, I, of course, didn't have a laptop 20 years ago. So I had a pad of paper next to me and I wrote things down.
Yep.
A potential, and I saved those papers in notebooks. A potential disadvantage with the wonderful digital technology of not only having a computer to record my information, but a computer to look at, like you're showing us, is I really want to encourage people to record somewhere what you're finding.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you share it, let's say you put it as a source out on a family tree in Family Search, or you put it in your own private family tree on Ancestry, at some point, somebody is going to come across your information. And I've had too many cases back when I was doing a lot of work on GenForum where I'd say, oh, where did you find this marriage? And the answer might be, oh, I don't know, at a library somewhere. And that's just frustrating to me because I like to be able to document the information so somebody else can check it. Because let's say the date isn't quite what you have and you say, well, did they transcribe it wrong? Is the marriage record hard to read? And you want to go back and check, you don't know where to look.
Yeah. And so, what you're talking about are research logs. So there go my parrots. My phone was ringing in the other side of the house, and the parrots decided it's going to be time for them to scream for a little bit. So I just typed in research log, and you see here inside the guide, research logs, and this is in our blog. And so, this is talking about, using research logs, what they're good for. And then it links you to Project 4, Goal 1, Choice C. And if I click on that, now I'm right here in Goal 1, Choice C. And let's see if I can find C. That's B. C, notes, logs, and software to stay organized.
Oh, excellent.
And so now you get these great videos about how to use research logs. But also, if I go to Choice Project 4, Goal 1, Choice E, there's D and there's E. These are pre-printed charts. And so I can download the research forms. I can download a research log. I can download a census template or whatever it might be. And, these are all free documents. So what you're basically doing is, you're recording. I found this in the 1920 census, here is everything that was in the 1920 census about that family. And now you don't have to worry about where did I get this from and how did I get that information? You can go right here and get the records that you're interested in and the forms so that you can track everything, nice and clean. It's not just, I mean, how many times have you gone to your notebook and said, where did I get that? I just wrote down a bunch of chicken scratch
Right.
and names and dates, and I don't even know if these are the right people,
Yeah. And to me, another reason, and I'm not prescriptive about how people need to record their notes. But something else that we're going to think about a talk in our society this fall is preparing to export your genealogy research for the day when you're no longer walking the earth.
Yep.
I mean, when a lot of your people are retirees in their society, well, a lot of us aren't going to be around in 40 years. And do you really want all your hard work research to be thrown away by grandchildren who don't care? Or would you like it to be saved and shared somewhere? Well, if it's saved and shared, whatever library you're going to give it to really wants it to be somewhat organized.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's definitely something to consider because, if let's say you have an account on Ancestry and you put all your records in your tree on Ancestry, but your tree is private.
Yeah. So it's good as long as you're around, but
That's right.
when you're not around to share the tree, it's unavailable.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a big problem. And the benefit with Family Search is you don't have to keep paying the $200 a year to keep your family tree active and adding information to it, doing your research. You can add 1,000 or more records to a person. If you have 1,000 photographs of that same person, you can add all 1,000 photographs if you want to.
Wow.
There's not really a physical limit as to the capacity of records to add to an individual. They tell you it's about, you can upload into your own gallery about 25,000 images and records. So, how many of us have 25,000 photographs and records in our file cabinet? Probably not many of us. So, you're probably not going to hit a limit on that.
I'm afraid I have more than that, but
There's ways to get around that 25,000 limit if you need to.
well, see, one reason I have so many is when I go and find a book at some archive, and I always say I photocopy 20 pages from it.
Yep.
I scan all 20 pages and they become 20 JPEGs.
Right.
I would have been smarter if I compressed them as a single PDF, but I didn't do that. So I have, I think, 30,000 files.
Yeah.
So for newbies, for people beginning, one of my thoughts would be think through how you want to record your information so that 10 years hence you don't say, uh-oh, I wish I'd done it differently.
Yeah, and you can take those JPEGs and you can import them into a Word document and then export it out as one PDF with the pages all in order, and that works. It's not a problem. But yeah, the other thing is, there are over 500,000, I think it's 500,000 books in the library catalog that's available online at Family Search. So
they're not yet digitized.
That are digitized. So you
that are okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that the next effort to digitize the books that have not yet been photographed?
They're working on some more of those. Yeah. But you have access to the Allen County Library and a bunch of other libraries on Family Search. So you can access their digital collections, and you can link those, to your family on Family Search. So you don't have to upload your own pages if you went to the library and copied them. So there's that sort of thing. But
I have to leave. I've got another appointment, but thank you very much. I really enjoyed this.
Sure.
Good to meet you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Come see us in the library at the Blake.
I will. Thank you.
That'd be great.
So do you all have any other questions about the Family History Guide's webpage? I'm going to stop sharing this for a second.
Well, first of all, Miles, it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm overwhelmed, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, but it does sound like it's very well organized and definitely a go-to place to learn about the, the basics of how to navigate the family, the family search site. So the only thing I wanted to just add regarding Facebook, the Martin County Genealogical Society is we have quite a few members, but the active members is quite a small group.
Yeah.
And we have just basically decided that unless somebody steps forward and commits themselves to, say, at least 2 years or 3 years of nonstop management, we're just not going to get into Facebook at all.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So there are some people, who are just technologically very clever and they love doing Facebook and they don't do anything else in their life. I don't even think they exercise. I'm not sure. But there are other things you're meant to be doing in your life. But I don't know if there's any way on your Florida page, for instance, to broaden your links to include, maybe how to access the smaller societies or that kind of thing, rather than just always Facebook oriented, because I do
Sure.
find that gets kind of boring after a while.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that, if you guys had a Gen web page or something, some other web pages, something like that can be accessed.
I do have a thought, if I could jump in. The last goal or in your state pages, there's a goal called Get Help. And in that Get Help page, I'm looking at the Florida Get Help on my screen, but in the Get Help page, there is a list of Facebook pages and mailing list and genealogy societies. So you can contact them, use those links. And one all-purpose site, there is a genealogy on Facebook list, which has like over 2,000 Facebook groups for all over the country. And that would be a great way to get in touch with smaller Facebook groups.
So, yeah, so I'm looking here at, at the bottom of that page. Again, I went to the Florida page, and then the last one here is Get Help. And when you go down, it says, using Facebook pages. So we link to the Florida Genealogy Network, Florida Genealogy page, Florida State Genealogy page, US South Genealogy, and so on. The various different Facebook pages, some of the Facebook pages. We have the mailing lists for Florida for Roots Chat and Cindy's List and Ancestry message boards. And then down here, we have, the Florida State Genealogical Society, Central Florida, Greater Miami, Jacksonville, Florida genealogy sites on Cindy's List, and then Family History Center in Florida. So, if you guys have sites that aren't listed in here, we can add them. Right now, we're working on an internal list ourselves of all of the genealogy societies and the contacts for those societies, so that we can, send out mailing lists to the societies and, let them know about the family history guide and some of the activities that we have coming up.
That would be great, because I don't even have a Facebook page. I
don't give
not want to do Facebook at all. So I know I'm probably in a minority group, but I don't even use it to access it. I mean, there's so many other outlets besides Facebook, and you don't have to get distracted by the cat videos. So I know. So that would be great if you could put us, we do have a website, mcgsfl.org. We have a website that if it could be included somewhere on that Get Help page, that would be fantastic. And we have we have several people who are very interested in our webpage at the moment, who are doing some great work about bringing it up to speed and, kind of doing a housekeeping approach on it. So making it more efficient and everything and up to date.
Okay.
But that would be good. And then the other thing I think I want to ask you too was that the beneficiary thing is very interesting problem that David brought up. And I know even on Ancestry, it's a worry, and I'm not sure that they have a result. Somebody said they don't really have a result, a solution for it, other than maybe making your sons or your daughters editors on your page or something like that to carry on in the future, maybe. I don't know if that would help, but I know on Family Search, I mean, theoretically, we get back to the idea of, this worldwide tree. And, after you go, you've put all this wonderful information on your ancestors that you've, been able to work on the tree. And then somebody comes along and decides that you're wrong and they're right. And of course, you know, you're no longer there to kind of protect the situation.
Yeah.
So how do you protect the situation?
Uh, yeah, that's a difficult one because, you know, it can be changed at any time. You know, one thing that you can do personally is, you know, put a watch on the page, and that's that little star. And so you're notified if somebody makes changes to it. But yeah, if you're not around anymore, that's up to somebody else to sort of manage that. The best you can do is provide the information and provide the sources so that, you know, it's explained why the information you have is accurate.
Yeah, another thing is that you'll get people who are collateral relatives, cousins and so forth, who have an interest in the accuracy of those records that now are being bequeathed, you know, up to Family Search. So you'll have hopefully some help in getting things on an even keel and unwinding problems. So yeah, that's the team spirit.
Yeah, some of those cousins are the ones with the wrong information.
That's right.
And they can
So we
get
have to
younger.
help those cousins as well.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, Lisa, the approach that I've taken, it's a little early to find out how it's going to work out because of COVID, but I've been maybe an independent researcher and not collaborating enough, partly because a lot of my research was in Eastern Europe and there just was not much information out there in the various internet sites. And so I've ended up, my genealogy software on my laptop has data on 110,000 people. And I took advantage of my son being married an hour away from the Allen County Public Library, which is one of the top 10 genealogy libraries in the country. And they agreed to take my genealogy collection. I initially said I would like to will it to them. And the director said, well, why wait until you're no longer here? Why not share it with us now? And so the good news is I've sent them information on my, I don't know, 10, 15 gigabytes of data, including all my records. And the not so good news is a year later, they had not yet done what they said they were going to do, which was to create on their search something like David Atride's genealogy. And they were going to tie it into, if you did a search on the Allen County Public Library and it found an individual in my database, that would come up as a resource. And they were using COVID. So when I called 6-8 months ago, COVID was still the reason why they had not done anything. And I thought, okay, I'll be patient. But so what that does that at least makes me happy is I don't have to, all my information in terms of the structure of the tree doesn't have to conform with what other people have said in the one unified tree on Family Search. And not that I'm a Family Search opponent, when I've found my own information about who is in my tree, I just don't want to take the administrative effort to go repair information or what I think are inaccuracies on the one major tree.
Yeah.
So I've since then walked that thought back a little bit, and I've been adding information from my master tree onto Family Search. I'm actually less interested right now because life is short in fixing errors. I'm more interested in adding parents and grandparents where there are none listed.
Yeah.
What I wish could be done, but I don't know that it's really feasible, is I could easily create a GEDCOM of my 110,000 people, send it to Family Search and say, upload what makes sense, but don't make me go through 5,000 queries. That's the part that causes me.
So with Family Search, if you go up to the search and you can go search genealogies,
Okay.
and those are all contributed GEDCOMs. And at the bottom of that, it says contribute your own GEDCOM.
Oh, that's true. I've been there before. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, but those are locked. So those cannot be edited. They're just there as a resource. So nobody can go
Okay.
edit those and change those. And if you ever have to make a change, you have to upload a new file on top of it.
And I guess what I'll have to check is if there's any copyright information that says I can't put something here, a collection that's that's at another library.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll think about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That might be a great idea, actually, Miles, because that would be, at least you feel like your GEDCOM is somewhere,
Right.
which is nice.
Mhm.
I know I have two sad stories about the library, giving it to libraries. I know my sister was the editor in Hingham, Massachusetts for many years, and they have a wonderful little historical society there. And people, they die and their kids bring over all the boxes of photographs. And of course, after about a couple of years, they'd throw the photographs out.
Yeah.
A
Oh,
lot of these places, they just don't have the staff to go through these things and record them. And then another very sad story, more closer to home, is we had somebody in our somebody affiliated, I don't know if they remember the Gen Society or not, it was when I first joined, but that person died and their family brought us literally shoe boxes upon shoe boxes upon shoe boxes of index cards, which we shouldn't have ever accepted in the first place, but they did all end up in the recycling bin. So, you don't want, we just can't, even in our little Blake library, we get calls a lot, oh, I'm, moving back to California to be with my kids, but I've got all this wonderful research I did. Will you please take it? And we really have to say no, unless it's in a book form, some form that we can maybe look at if it's well researched and indexed and everything and put on the shelf, because there's just no storage space at all.
well,
Yeah.
Lisa,
Here's
maybe here's a partial solution. When I talked to the director of the Allen County Genealogy Library, I told him I was going to leave money in my will, but of course, I don't know when they're going to get that money. And we agreed on an amount of $10,000 to provide some of that paid resource, in that is a shortage of people willing to work for free.
On that note, that's an interesting note. I know there are some family history centers that do have high-speed scanners with volunteers who will do exactly that. The one local
Wow.
that's just a few blocks from my house, we have a high-speed scanner, and I think it has scanned over 50,000 photos in the last 6 months of people just wanting to get their photos digitized. So that's another avenue to look
Wow.
at.
Okay.
And the other thing is, if you contact Family Search and if they have a film crew in the area, you can schedule a digitizing event with them, and they can scan records in the historical society or the library or something like that, where those collections might be stored, and they would, you have the choice of how to set up that contract on what's viewable and what's behind, walls that you have to go to a family history center for, or something like that. So if you look over in the chat, I posted a couple things. I posted a link to a survey for our VIP, our volunteer instructor program. If anybody in the Genealogy Society or the community wants to become a volunteer instructor, they can fill out that form. And we have a Facebook page that they can get access to after they do that. You can see the next link is our YouTube video for the VIP recording that we did earlier this month. And that was just our introduction to people that were interested. And so they can learn more about the VIP program that way. We're going to try to get going a little more actively and becoming a major resource to these individuals, so that, they can spread the word about family history and using the Family History Guide as an instructional tool.
Wonderful tool. I
Yes.
consider myself fairly experienced in using Family Search resources, and I go through it and I find some things today. Several of the things you pointed out were things that were new to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Miles, that was fantastic. It really was. And I
Oh,
feel
yes.
get on there and get, see what else I can find too. It's just great.
Miles,
Yes.
when we were talking earlier, you had talked about the German archives. Do you have a URL for that site?
Oh, it depends on which state you're in Germany. Every state has their own archives, and then the regions within those states have their own archives, and then the communities have their own archives.
It's called Baden-Württemberg.
Yeah, the Baden is beautiful.
Okay.
You can search Baden-Württemberg Landesarchive or archive, and
Okay.
you get to the page. So once you get into that, there are 6 sub-archives. So you have to know which region you're in. So for
Well, I know
example,
the region.
my wife is in the Karlsruhe region for Baden-Württemberg. So we
Okay.
go to the Karlsruhe section of the Baden-Württemberg archives. And then in there are 7 sub-community archives there.
Wow.
And so she's in the Forsheim parish or district in there. And so, you can narrow it down to the town. You type in the town and then you get all the records for the town.
Okay.
By the
So I
way,
go GermanArchives.com, is that how I get to it?
No, go to Google and type in Baden-Württemberg and then archive. And
Okay.
you'll see it'll be Baden-Württemberg Landesarchive will be the webpage.
we do have a celebrity video starring Miles Meyer on German archives. If you go to the Germany country page in the Family History Guide, goal number 2 is archives and libraries. There's an introductory video there that has Miles going into great depth about how to use online German archive sources.
Okay.
So
And
Germany has 7 different types of archives, and each of those types of archives have several sub-archives. So the National Archives, the States Archives, the Regional Archives, the Church Archives, the outside of German archives, the archives that are outside of Germany, which would be Poland, Ukraine, Lithuania, Austria, that have German archives in them. And then, and then the German German genealogy CompGen, CompGen website is an archive site also. And then you have the German library system, which has their own archives. And then you have the German newspaper archives. So,
Hey,
Wow.
sounds like a bit.
yes.
They got their records, boy.
Well, the Germans really love keeping records.
They do.
Yep. Thankfully, I'm thankful for that. Now,
Miles, you probably know this, but a branch of the archives you're talking about for the Baden-Württemberg I've found some early documents for property transfer from the 13th century.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I'm playing around right now with the 16 and 1700 property maps. So it has the county or the town with all of the properties and the names of all the property owners listed on them.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
That is neat. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, see,
Okay.
in France, they have 98 department archives. So you have to know which department your family came from in order to find which archives you look for there.
And then Roberta, to add to the potential work, the city archive that I'm planning on visiting in Germany has photocopies of a local periodical where a local historian wrote stories about different families of the town.
Oh, nice.
And the dilemma is that's not online. That to get that, I either find a paid genealogist. You physically have to go there and photocopy it.
Okay.
Which
What
is why I'm,
specific area in Germany are you dealing with?
it's a town a little east of Heilbronn, north of Stuttgart, named Schwäbisch Hall.
Okay, that's about I'm north of Stuttgart too.
Okay.
Stuttgart, it's Stettin. Stetten, Stettin.
Okay.
Okay, in that area.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. To me, it's worth a trip there because there's so much to find. Of course, I keep telling myself, well, dummy, find what you can before you go.
Yeah, that's true. Miles, you say you have a Zoom on Wednesdays between 3 and 4. I'm sorry, Sunday between 3 and 4.
Yeah, let me
How do I get to that
find.
if I have questions?
Yeah, let me find my page here. Give me a second. I just gotta get my calendar here. And this will be the same link for each event.
Okay.
Let's see. Sunday, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and Wednesday, 6 to 7. There we go. So if you want to copy that Zoom link, it's just an open hour. And, Wednesdays, nobody shows up for it, and Sundays, about 5 or 6 people may show up for it, or 3 or 4, or 2 or 1, it depends. And so sometimes I'll spend an hour talking to the same person, solving all their problems.
Well, that was a fast link. I couldn't copy that down.
Well, it's off to my right here. So what I'm going to do is just take a picture of it.
Or you can hit the 3 little buttons next to the file in the chat and then hit save chat. And then that'll save all of your text into a document. And the other thing is, I'm recording this, so I will send Lisa and David a link to the YouTube video that you guys can access later.
Oh, that would be great.
So Miles, basically those 2 sessions are just, anybody can come and ask you questions.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Kind of focus on the family history guide, or just everything is basically part of that.
Anything, what it is open hour for the Family History Center.
All right.
So we're just doing it since the Family History Centers are closed, we're just doing it as a way to, communicate with the community that would be coming into the Family History Center.
Okay. So I guess my last question that I would have would be on that VIP. The VIP trainers don't necessarily have to be certified. Is that correct?
Right. It's anybody who's interested in learning how to use the Family History Guide as a training tool.
Okay. But we wouldn't have to go through the rigorous training of becoming a certified trainer, not quite as rigorous.
No, you just have to be dangerous. That's all.
Dangerous and enthusiastic.
Now the goal of it is that you can then utilize like the trainer section to create a worksheet, an outline for a presentation, go in and, prepare, let's say, a talk on Irish genealogy, utilizing the Family History Guide. And, using the templates that we have there, the concepts that we have there to create a class, and, let people know the Family History Guide is there as a resource. And this is, I've talked to genealogy societies about, their beginning genealogy class. And, why create a beginning genealogy class if you can just go through and look at the templates that we have and the goals and the projects and teach from that.
Yeah, one more thing to add is when you think about it, the Family History Guide greatly expands the number of topics and classes that you might be able to address in a genealogy society, because you can jump in, you can study, select videos and articles, put together a sample outline, and you can teach beginners enough about that particular topic that they can get off the ground. You don't have to delegate it to an expert who is going to, go into the deep dive and so forth. Many times you just want an overview and an introduction, and you can do that very well with the Family History Guide.
That's a good point.
And, if the library is looking for somebody to teach a class on genealogy on a topic, let me look at Family History Guide. I'll spend a couple days there and I'll have a class ready for you for the weekend, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of the VIP training, if somebody in our society is interested, or a couple of people are interested, do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can just contact me. Let's see. I'm going to give you.
Another way to do it is just send an email to info@thefhguide.com. That's our basic contact.
Okay.
And we read those, and so we'll be able to route them, or you can email Miles directly.
Yeah, if you send it to the info, Bob usually will send it to me and say, hey, here's something to follow up on. So that worked perfectly.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm afraid I have to go help start making dinner.
So, but we've spent an hour and a half talking to you guys. I hope you got some good information about this.
Oh, yes.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Very good.
Impressed.
Everyone take
Thank
care.
you.